Welcome in to a special minicast episode of the Materials Performance Interview Series. My name is Ben Dubose, and I'm the news editor with the AMP Publications team. AMP, of course, is the shorthand acronym for the Association for Materials Protection and Performance, of which both Materials Performance and Coatings Pro are member magazines. Materials Performance is also known as MP. Back in April, our entire team was out in Nashville for the 2025 AMP Annual Conference and Expo. We had a great time seeing just under 6,000 people and 400 exhibitors who all came together from across the country, really all across the world, to support our great industry. As part of that event, we sat down with a few of those exhibitors for brief exhibitor spotlight interviews. The idea was to do a quick profile as far as what they've got going on at their company, as well as share a bit of insight on what they're seeing and hearing out in the field, and perhaps how their products or services can address some of the needs that are out there. So throughout the year, we're going to be running a few of those 2025 Exhibitor Spotlight interviews as mini episodes here on this podcast channel. I'm going to go ahead and play back a few of those interviews here. And if you want to see the complete episodes in video form, just check out the Materials Performance YouTube channel.
Hi, I'm Sammy Miles, Editor-in-Chief with AMP Media. I'm here today at the AMP Annual Conference and Expo with Bartek Dajnowski with GC Laser Systems. Now, I've got to ask you, what does the GC stand for in your name?
I love that question because whenever someone sees our product for the first time, we always wait for that moment when they say, wow, this is a game changer. And that's what the GC stands for. It is a game changer. And the first prototype that I made in 2014, when we saw how well it performed, we immediately all said, this is a game changer. So the name stuck.
Wonderful. And can you tell me a little bit more about GC Laser Systems?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, we're an American laser equipment manufacturer. So we design and make everything in the US. We are a laser equipment manufacturer first, but full integrator second. So we offer handheld solutions, but also full automated robotic systems, crawlers, laser enclosed cells. So you can put parts in that get cleaned, servicing various industries. And the company is a woman-owned business. The technology is the result of my personal 25 years of laser cleaning experience. I've been doing it for a very long time. And the first prototype was a result of 15 years of frustration with what other techniques and other technologies cannot do and other laser technologies cannot do. And then the products themselves are built to withstand very durable environments, to be used outdoors, to be used in environments that have moisture, high humidity, cold environments. So it's been a technology that's been evolving for a very long time. And we have a family of, close to 20 patents, somewhere around there right now. So this technology is patented worldwide, and it is designed to be used worldwide. So these machines can be used on any power supply globally, 50, 60 hertz. And it's been driven by necessity. So the first industry, for example, that our technology was used in was the architecture and fine art conservation world. So cleaning monuments, priceless artifacts, things in the Smithsonian collection. 3,500-year-old Egyptian obelisk was actually the first thing that the laser ever cleaned, which was kind of symbolic and cool because it's the obelisk in Central Park behind the Metropolitan Museum. It's a symbol of light, and it was restored by light. The U.S. Supreme Court facade, the capital of Louisiana, Sydney Harbour Bridge in Australia, Notre Dame in Paris, churches, all kinds of monuments and artifacts and ancient artifacts have all been cleaned and safely restored with these lasers, but also things like the printing industry, printing presses, nuclear decontamination in power plants, radioactive abatement, lead abatement, corrosion removal. The Air Force, for example, is one of our customers. So is the Navy, the Army, the Coast Guard. So it started off in cultural heritage, and we like to say it started off to be safe enough for art, and it's definitely safe enough for industry, and offers unmatched precision in what we do.
Wonderful. And what makes your laser technology unique?
So several things. We like to push the limits of physics, and if people say it can't be done, we're usually the first ones to do it. We were, for example, one of the first to prove that you can produce a texture on metal with a laser. Also, some people said, you can't go more than 100 feet with an umbilical. We went 300 feet. The technology can be dialed in, for example, to target only corrosion, like surface rust. It can be targeted to remove a coating, or to remove chlorides, salts, to remove contaminants, hydrocarbons, and it's all very precisely controlled because the parameters of the laser are dialable by like their pulse duration, the pulse frequency, pulse energy, scan speed. And what we're doing is sounds very complicated, but it's really simple. At a simple level, we're just exciting the molecules of what we're targeting, like let's say rust. And they get so excited by the energy they absorb, they literally shake themselves apart and eject off the surface or ablate. So we put easy buttons in all of our machines too. So there are presets. So after we've trained people on how to use it, they could just have presets that they choose for their particular application.
So how does the circle work?
So we design and make our own scanners in several different ways. And the circular scan, again, has no hotspots. It's a very fast scan, rotating quickly. And it's actually able to wrap around and conform to shapes. So there's things that we've patented, and there's also things that are kind of our secret sauce and our proprietary optical solutions. So the beam is actually rotating, again, very quickly. So it's not stopping anywhere. So it can quickly process the surface and not have any heat affected zones like you might have with a line scan, again, which has to stop and change direction very often with a galvo mirror. But another key thing is also that that beam is coming out as a cone, and that's incredibly helpful for cleaning complex shapes, corners, wedges, rivets, frame parts, because when the leading edge hits a surface, it hits it at one angle. Trailing edge then catches it at the opposite angle, and that helps it wrap around a shape. So if you see one of our lasers going over a complex shape, you'll see it'll actually wrap around things as it goes over it and conforms to it. Another great thing about the process is that light does not apply any pressure. So the operator doesn't have sand flying back in their face. They don't have media. So they can go into a tight corner and laser clean it, and it's actually relatively comfortable. So we like to say if you can shine a flashlight at it, you can shine a laser at it, and you can clean it. So it's a line of sight process. But this circular scan is incredibly efficient at wrapping around shapes. We also have another feature that we call auto scrub, where we take that circle, also patented, and now it's rotating in a circle. And as it goes over a surface, it'll interact with it maybe a couple hundred times per motion. So a very efficient beam delivery solution.
I saw you have a new product, the GC500X. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So we're very proud of this machine. And we just got the award here at this conference for Innovation of the Year. So the GC500X is now the new record holder for the most powerful compact laser on the planet. And it still runs on a 110 outlet. It's smaller than the chairs we're sitting on. It's only 17.25 inches wide. And it will run on any power globally, but like in the US, a standard 120 outlet. But it'll also run on anything from 90 volts to 240 volts, single phase, 50 or 60 hertz. So you can plug it in here or in Australia, Japan, Europe, doesn't matter. It'll run anywhere. And it is incredibly powerful, very tunable, very compact. You can put it in the back of a quad and go out to a remote location. You can use it on a helicopter. You can take it on ships. So they're very easy to move around. But it's a lot of power in a very compact package. And it's the result of our team at GC Lasers kind of always pushing the envelope and making better products for the past 11 years now.
Wonderful. And is there anything else you'd like to add?
So yes, very much so. I'm very happy to see how much traction laser cleaning is getting. A lot of people have misconceptions about lasers. Like, for example, they'll think it's Star Wars or burning things and cutting through things. And yes, there are lasers that cut things like laser cutters. This is a very different type of technology. So one of the things we encourage at our booth, for example, is for people to touch the metal just right after we've cleaned it and it's not hot. And we say our lasers are cooler because they literally do not make a significant temperature change on the surface. There are other lasers out there that will. So don't just think you can touch anything after a laser hit it, because sometimes they could be hot. Ours do not make a hot surface. But the educational side of it is very important. It's excellent that there's new standards coming up, guidelines with AMP, of course. I am happy to be very involved with AMP as well. We've been doing webinars and white papers and contributing in many different ways. So I encourage anyone who would like to maybe hear me talk about it a little more, that they could watch the webinar we did in December. We have another one coming up. So at the end of the day, whatever laser you've seen, there's different machines. There's also different skill levels. Training is very important, and we're very heavy on training. But the key thing is it's another tool in the toolbox. There's times when it's amazing. There's times when it's completely the wrong tool to use. And other times when if you combine it with another tool, you get a result that was previously impossible or is done much faster. So it's definitely a tool worth having in the toolbox, though. And to have it properly, you have to learn about what it can do and what it cannot do.
This September 8th through the 10th, all roads lead to Odessa, Texas for the AMPP Central Conference, where the future of corrosion and coatings comes to life. From AI-driven pipeline integrity and advanced cathodic protection monitoring to cutting-edge AC interference strategies, This is where innovation meets infrastructure. Dive into groundbreaking technical sessions tailored to the challenges of the central U.S. and the Permian Basin. Advanced registration is now open. Secure your spot today and save. Register now at ampp.org/central-conference.
Ben Dubose, news editor, AMP Media. We're here at the AMP 2025 Annual Conference in Expo with Scott Perry, Chief Technology Director of InduMar. Scott, thanks so much for taking the time. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about InduMar as a company? I know you all use materials to enhance performance, protect other materials and assets. How does it all work?
So InduMar has been around for 39 years. We're based out of Houston, and we've been supplying composite materials, and very specifically composite materials, to provide repair solutions to a wide range of industries. And the idea is that we're looking to help people repair needs in wastewater treatment, in terms of chemical refining, pipelines, upstream, midstream. Just a wide range of industries are calling for solutions that are not the traditional metal repair.
So what are some examples of how InduMar's products are ultimately used out in the industry?
So I can cite 3 examples, and we have a catalog of materials, but 3 examples I think will highlight the different categories of repairs that we're doing. So the first is our most long-standing product called Stop It. And that product is a fiberglass water-activated urethane wrap. And it is intended to be applied to a pipe or a fitting or a valve in which we have a leak, that simply by wrapping the material onto the pipe will seal leaks. And there's a range of pressure requirements and a range of performance characteristics to that. In contrast to that, we have a larger format product that's again urethane and fiberglass, but that's being wrapped onto pipes that are going to be prepared for horizontal directional drilling. And that's where a pipe is pulled through a hole that's been drilled in the ground horizontally, as the name suggests. And that product is going to provide a physical protection of the pipe that's being pulled. And then finally, pipes that are either buried or above the surface that have experienced damage, we're going to be wrapping on an epoxy fiberglass composite wrap, and that is going to be to strengthen the pipe. And that is going to overcome damage associated with wall loss. So 3 categories of repairs, 3 separate composites for those needs.
So before we started recording, we were talking about InduMar as a company, and you described it as composite pipe repair at a very high level. So relative to traditional repair approaches that are out there in the industry, what's unique about the composite approach? How do the composite materials give performance benefit that goes beyond the traditional approach?
Right. So traditional approaches in many of the industries that I discussed involve the replacement of the component, but oftentimes that will lead to significant downtime, loss of income. And so the composite repair products offer an opportunity to come in and either provide a stopgap solution until a turnaround can be reached, or to provide a solution that is not as entailed as the replacement of an entire component. And so our approach is to provide materials that enable a reduced labor and reduce cost.
Mm-hmm. So you all at InduMar, I mentioned that you're a composite pipe company, but you've got a unique materials design process. How do you all leverage that materials design process to optimize the composites for specific end use?
So a couple of examples I think will illustrate the answer to that question. First, if we think about that leak sealing product that I talked about, our experience in the field over the 39 years that this product's been available is that many leaks are going to occur at fittings, tees, valves, the irregularities in a piping system. For example, that has highlighted the need to use a very conformable fiberglass reinforcement in the composite to get into those nooks and crannies. And in fact, in our laboratory testing, we have found that the knit fiberglass will outperform a standard plain weave fiberglass. That's an example of material design where you're choosing the property of the material to accomplish a performance need. Now we go further than that, and we also design the resin. And so in that emergency leak sealing product, it has a very specific resin that will highly adhere to the pipe but it has a chemistry such that it won't adhere to your hand. There's a bit of a trick involved in that. And of course, it has to be non-porous, so it seals leaks. We can go further, think about the abrasion-resistant product, and we took the resin and we toughened it. That's a chemical synthesis process. So we're doing design all the way down on the chemistry. And then the X-Core line of epoxy composites, we're actually moving to a reinforcement where we have optimized the tensile strength in the hoop direction to provide the greatest strength for the same amount of material and therefore strengthen the pipe as quickly as possible.
So we're at the AMP 2025 show in Nashville, and there's a lot of people that come to shows like this just to learn, to get more information about potentially using products or services or technologies down the line. So as someone that develops composite products, what advice would you have for someone that's here that's just looking to explore using composites for their applications or their repair needs? Just general advice for people that are interested in learning more.
So we are coming across regularly people who have not used composites before. And it does take a number of steps to see that you arrive at a successful repair. First, I would say that it's important to fully characterize the repair need. Is it actively leaking? What is the contents of the pipe? What are the temperature and operating conditions? What's the size of the pipe? These are simply details that we're going to need to know in order to specify a given repair need. Secondly, I would say it's important that the repair objective is prioritized. Is it that I have to seal this leak right away, or am I looking at reinforcing the strength of the pipe? And there's a long litany of priorities that could be addressed, but it's important to put those in order to kind of guide the selection of the material. And then finally, I would say for new users, it's important that there is some training associated with the application of these materials. And I would point people to the website where we have installation videos, 2 to 3 minutes, simply highlighting what are the steps to go on. It's something that is not difficult, but it's important to see the steps illustrated in order to improve the chance for success for the application of these repair products.
And the website is InduMar.com, correct?
Exactly.
Good stuff.
I'm Lisa Shortino, Managing Editor of Coatings Pro Magazine. Are you interested in exploring the latest trends in materials degradation and mitigation? If so, you can join scientists, engineers, and industry leaders at the 22nd International Conference on Environmental Degradation of Materials in Nuclear Power Systems, happening August 10th through 14th, 2025 in Long Beach, California. Hosted by AMP, this premier event brings together global experts to tackle the challenges impacting safety and performance in nuclear systems. Registration is now open. Secure your spot today at envdeg.amp.org. We'll see you in Long Beach.